Okay, so analysing markets just for a second more, thinking about the relationship between meaningful play and serious games. Meaningful play acts on the assumption, or in fact acts on the counter-assumption that games can be fun, engaging, and actually have a serious consequence as well to other people's lives. So the key to meaning, the first word of the explanation, is having relevance to the for the user to the outside world apart from the game. We can do this in 3 different ways. We can develop people's skill sets. They can walk away with knowledge, or they can walk away with a new perspective, which they can then apply on the world around them. Let's look at these one by one. Okay, skills. Skills represent a reusable skill set, whether that be tactile, as in actually using your hands to create something, behavioural, as in how you interact with an environment, or analytical, the way in which you dissect an information structure. A good example of a game right now at the moment which uses skills in a meaningful play context is Brain Age, which you'll have an opportunity to see if you can find the person with it on their Nintendo DS in a second. And you could describe this game as a gym for your brain. Okay? Other such examples of games using skills development are Pulse, which is a simulation of an emergency room in which people are actually trained in triage how to respond to different emergency situations. So we're building up in a simulated context an intuitive reaction to emergency scenarios. Another example of how skills are actually being developed in games, even though it may not be the greatest example of meaningful play, is actually World of Warcraft, which has got a lot of bad press. But what World of Warcraft does as an interactive, community-driven environment is it means that leaders emerge, and leaders have responsibility to their guilds and clans. And in fact, a few months ago, Yahoo employed one of their high-level executives based on their experience in community building and leadership in World of Warcraft. Okay, the second one is knowledge. Knowledge is pretty straightforward. You pick something up within the game's experience, either facts, processes, or systems, which you are then able to apply in the real world. One really good example of this is actually one of our products, which you can see once again after the presentation, called the Kitchen. What we're doing with our training products in the workplace is simulating a real-world context as a basis for education. So as opposed to having this huge disconnect between pen and paper education and the actual application of that knowledge within the workplace environment, we're simulating the workplace scenario as a context to deliver that information. So when somebody calls up, oh, I've got to go and make a sandwich, automatically and intuitively, they've already got, I've got to wash my hands as part of that thought process. You'll be able to see how that's actually implemented later on. Another good example, which a few more of you may be familiar with, is Civilization, which actually simulates history, where you can actually take leadership of a nation and fight through the crusades and right into the future of mankind, making political and economical decisions along the way. The third is perspective, and it's a little bit more ethereal, it's a little more lovey-dovey. So essentially the idea is that we simulate a context, an immersive interactive experience, where people can leave the world behind. They can assume the role of a new character or an alternative personality for themselves, and they can use that clean slate as a context for discussing and experimenting with thematic perspective, emotional, political, or social perspectives. Okay, the second key word in our description, sorry, Dr. I'll pass this over. Okay. The second key word in our description is play. Okay, so playful experiences need to be interactive, they need to be explorative, they need to be experimental, and ultimately they really need to be fun. Alright, one of the big problems with all these serious games, sterile environments, is that they're actually just linear experiences. You don't actually have an environment in which you can play with things, you can experiment and explore. So many of the things that you have to do are told to you that you have to follow a specific structure. And people don't like to be told what to do, I'm not sure if you've noticed. But the whole concept of play is really founded on voluntary interaction. Okay, so to grab a quote from one of my new favourite motivational speakers and what he calls himself a catalyst, Kevin Carroll. Research has shown that play, particularly unstructured, spontaneous games versus scheduled activities like music lessons and football practice, is a powerful force in human development. So we use this when we're very young, when we're allowed to spend time doing things which are perceived as inconsequential. But really play is an incredibly powerful force which we can use to develop ourselves and which we should continue to use in our growing lives. So some quick examples of where meaningful play is used. You can see the kitchen in a moment, how we simulate a workplace scenario of a commercial kitchen. We tried to make that experience fun. We tried to put elements in that game which weren't essential to the curriculum, where people could explore and interact and feel that they were at home with that virtual environment and not feel like they were being force-fed information. Another good example is the small business game, which has been a huge success in the UK, Wales, and now New Zealand, where we actually provide a game through a web browser-based interaction where these high school students can learn about entrepreneurship by running their own sports store. And the great thing about that as well is it's not just teaching economics, it's teaching social skills. So the game is actually feeding back to the user how well they're doing on a social level and how well they're doing on a personal health level. So if you get a warning saying that your life is leaving you, then you're probably not going that well. Three other games which you'll see tonight again on the Nintendo DS are Cooking Mama, Brain Age, and Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. While each of these are perceived mainly as entertainment, it's incredible the amount that you walk away from them with. The insight into different opportunities in cooking and tactile ways to approach food, and Brain Age, the gym for your brain, and Phoenix Wright, the decision making and problem solving that goes into piecing evidence together and actually launching a case against the convict. So what about straight up? What are we doing? What does this actually mean to all of us? Well, apart from the projects that I just showed you there, which are now public knowledge, if I told you more, I'd probably have to do something nasty to you all. But I can tell you a couple of things. That we're interacting on all three of those levels, and I think that all, or most entertainment should at least consider, if not engage the audience on each of the three. On the skills level, we're looking at ways for people to use game environments and self-expression. We're also looking for ways for people to use their creative ability to offer up new content from mythologies which are created by traditional mediums such as Hollywood or novels. And the knowledge level, we're working with social networks for people to build and share information together and looking at simulating more workplace environments as a fun, interactive, meaningful place to learn workplace skills. And from a perspective level, we're engaging with a number of clients who are interested in selling messages or communicating messages of global warming, the climate, and also the ongoing impact of technology on society. So how can you help? This is the designer side of it. This is about designers or people that run design-led industries. What I urge you all to do is try and brush aside that preconception that games are just for geeks. What I ask you to all do is actually work together and recognize that the problems facing the games industry are not technological ones, they are design problems. I urge you to collaborate together to consider games as a medium and to help engineer play. So as you play the games here tonight, and you walk away to your respective jobs, I'd like you to consider how you guys can use meaningful play to create games that matter. Thank you.